Hey everybody, this is your boy Megaman X here with another episode of Megaman Legends, and I feel extremely happy with this one. I finally got to get my sister. I mean, we talk every time, but she's definitely like my sister, all the way across the U.S. And she's extremely awesome. She's an extremely awesome person. No, she is known, which everyone should know, as the Honda, during her time. And, there was a certain tournament that I would say I could say the student beat the master, and in dominant fashion, by the way. So, ladies and gentlemen, introducing to you Tania KillerMiller, or Miller Time Miller. What's going on, sis? How we doing?
Hi, bro. I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I am great. I am so happy. I'm very honored that I have you on this episode, honestly. So this is amazing.
I know this is only a voice recording, but oh my gosh, yeah, you're making me blush. That was a great intro. Holy cow.
I tried. But it's very true. But I tried, though. I greatly appreciate it. So now that I got you on this episode, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people would love to know in terms of how the origin of Killer Miller. I'm intrigued myself too, because I didn't know how you really got into it. I mean, we met years ago. And I'm like, when I saw you play, and I'm like, man, he is dangerous. And I'm like, as long as I was like, I didn't want to meet you in bracket until we kind of, we met up in our first to 5, and I kind of got demolished anyway, so it was all right though. But I want you to tell me, where did it all begin for you?
Oh, that's a really good question. So, I was a normie like everyone else. I had moments of it growing up. Uncle showed me Mortal Kombat on his PlayStation 1. I also had, Nickel back in the day. So I remember seeing Vampire Savior and playing that. I dabbled a little bit of it in high school, just, with the friends, playing Soul Calibur and a couple other games, and, thinking I'm hot shit. My friends. Until I met this one guy. Oh, he was such an asshole when I first met him. He was like, you ain't shit. And I was like, okay, guy, whatever. And his name, ends up being Eugene Lin. Spoiler alert. He turns into my husband 20 years later.
Yeah.
But at the time, I was like, what an asshole you are. But sure enough, he kicks my butt at the time, and I took notice because I was kicking all my friends' butts. At the time. I was like, okay. It's the weight of my heart, apparently, to keep my ass in a match.
Oh, man. I mean, that beginning, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not. I will. The part that you said, "Hey, I met this asshole," and he was talking shit. I'm like, oh, and it's Eugene. Well, not surprised. Shout out to Eugene anyway. Till this day, I will never underestimate that man. But that dude be talking shit though. But it's all good. I love that dude. I love him.
Yeah, and we trash talk all the time. I love our dynamic of that. But and I say asshole, he really wasn't. He was just come on. It just made me upset because he was one of the few friends that could really do, work against me. And then, from our friendship, we became something more. But really, I didn't get to answer your original question of getting into the FGC or the fighting game community in general. I didn't really get into it till a couple years later. I was watching Cross Counter thanks to Eugene or El Trouble. And he had put it on. I honestly don't remember. It's been so long now. And he was like, oh, if you want to get good at Street Fighter, you should watch this show. Or we should play video, we should play it together. Because if my memory serves me right, all, I wasn't too good at Street Fighter. I was like definitely terrible against all my other friends. So that, between getting, sucked into cross counter with Micros and Butex and, that 09 generation, and then finally going to my first Evo in, I believe, I think it was 2011 was first Evo, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So intro from Eugene, getting a normie into the culture, and then my competitive background and my and my emotions, and then having a great training partner. My boyfriend at the time, Eugene L. Trouble, kind of pushed me into the scene. So a combination of a lot of factors.
Interesting. Very interesting. Oh, that's pretty cool. 2011, you started your first Evo, but tell me this: what was the game that you first taken competitively at the time?
Ooh, good question. So let's again, I think it was 2011, because I always say I'm an 11er, not an 09er, because I was a little late to the game. So I just remember us going to Evo, and it was still free that year. And so we went and we checked it out, and we were like, wow, this is amazing. Like, we watched Marvel. I saw like Mike Ross doing signatures in the distance. I was too shy to ask for any like signature or anything. I just thought he was the best. Yeah. And he had a great personality, and that's kind of where my love of Honda started.
Oh, really?
And so, because of him, I was like, okay, I need to play Street Fighter 4. But because we went to Evo, Can you hear Eugene right now, Anthony? Sorry.
I'm waiting for the Wii, but I mean.
Give me my.
Okay, yeah. Well, she kind of stepped away for a sec. And you know what the crazy part is? I'm just going to add this all into this episode. So, here's fun fact about KillerMiller, right? Did you know, I think she would say, and I could be wrong, that her favorite matchup is actually Sim versus Honda. But I kind of will let her explain why. But we'll get back to that later in terms of that. But please continue, though.
Sorry for stepping away. I have to make like a sound booth now on my door. If you heard some weird sounds, that was El Trouble saying hi to our niece's dog. But anyways, I digress.
Tell him hey.
Will do. So Street Fighter 4 Honda is when I first originally played, and I played at Super Arcade. But I remember at that Evo, DGV and a bunch of other guys. I don't know if Daryl Muffin Man was there, but for sure DGV was. And they were playing out of a U.S. Postal Service box. Basically, they had made with the arcade board inside, and they called it a super gun. And they got Eugene really interested in it, El Truffle. He's like, I used to play this as a kid, and they were like, you should check out Super Arcade. It's really close to you guys. So through those conversations, I went the Street Fighter 4 route, and then Eugene went the Street Fighter 2 route while we went to tournaments at Super Arcade, which was in Walnut, California. And so Honda, Street Fighter 4, and then of course the rest is history. There's a lot more to that too, but you had mentioned playing Dalsum versus Honda. Yeah, I like that match the most because my training partner plays Dalsum, which is my husband.
It is true. I mean, we'll get into that a little later with that, right? So I would probably say your training in terms of the Street Fighter 4 at the time. Tell me how. I know you've been playing 4 first, but what got you transitioning from 4 back to ST?
Let me paint the picture.
Okay.
We're at Super Arcade. It's fucking hot and gross. Nuts to butts everywhere. It's packed. and you're sweaty and you're exhausted and you're kind of a new player to the scene.
Right.
And you've gotten a stick and you've kind of learned lingo and you've been playing for a couple months. You're just not doing so hot. You're not, you barely can make. You're still getting 0-2. You're not doing. You get close, but maybe you'll win one game or get a DQ. But you're just not. You're not doing well. What would you do in that moment?
That's true. I would kind of transition to another game to try my luck.
Okay. Yeah, so I think Eugene saw that, El Trouble. And he also, was watching my matches, because at the time he was more coach. He was coach and training partner at the time. Mm-hmm. So he was like, hey, I was watching your matches, and I love you, but your fundamentals suck.
Wow.
He's like, ass. This mofo.
I mean, he is a direct person, so I respect that, sort of. But his words is like, it's like, man, it's like a dagger, but it's like, it's worth listening to. So it's like, I can appreciate that. It's still horrible, but damn though. But yeah, please continue.
That's how our dynamic is. We'll just rile each other up, and I when he says something, mm-hmm. I take it to heart, and he doesn't mean that or whatnot. So trust me, in the moment it made sense. At first I was angry, but then that anger usually turns into competition, so it's a good thing.
Yeah.
So, and the other thing too is when you're at Super Arcade, remember, nuts to butts everywhere, the wait time for your bracket, oh my gosh, took forever. And that's no shade on the TOs, it's just a lot of people. So, there's a lot of downtime you have to do. And back at Super Arcade, they had, arcade cabs. So you also had to play other games, really, to spend the time list, or you went outside to just talk, or you went next door to get some popcorn, chicken, and boba. Yay! So, you gotta balance your time. You can't eat the whole time, can't talk the whole time. You gotta, still stay sharp.
Right.
So with El Trouble's comment, I go fine, because he was running if I remember, he and Muffin Man and DGV were running the 2 tournaments. Alternating, if I remember correctly. See, I'm old now. My memory might be a little shot. That'd be great. And so I joined their tournament. And, that's what it is. Yeah, so Muffin Man was running the tournaments, but El Trouble was like, you should join our tournaments. Because, he was like, maybe he was running brackets or something. He was helping out Muffin Man, Daryl, run that thing. And so sure enough, I start playing with those guys, and man, what different vibes, different game, a lot faster to learn too, and Honda did effing work because it's 2011, Street Fighter 4, I think it's Super Street Fighter 4 at the time, That Honda said yes. He was nerfed to all shit. So and as a normie coming in, that was a very steep uphill battle to not only one, understand the mechanics, but 2, now my characters. Is it AE or Super? It was the one where he got nerfed, badly nerfed.
It had to be Super, because AE he was okay. Yeah. He got some buffs, but he wasn't all that good. I mean, there were people that made him look good,
of course,
Hooterman, Jewel. I mean, some folks out there, Mike Ross, of course, and then in AE he was good, but in the middle-ish, so to speak. But Super, he got nerfed that shit hell there. That was kind of awful.
Yeah. So now my memory's coming back to me now, talking to you and double checking my graphs. Max. Yes, it was Super. Yes. Yeah. So I was there as a newbie into Street Fighter 4 during Super, and we had some amazing local players as well. I'm gonna feel terrible for not remembering their names, but there was two specific ones I remember who were such amazing guys. One I found out ended up passing away a couple years ago, 5 years ago, on the way to, I want to say 5 or 10 years ago, on the way to Evo. And And then another guy, he was amazing too, with long hair, and like they were both like my teachers in Street Fighter 4 for Honda, because they took pity on me with their Honda, and they helped me. But again, that's a really steep uphill battle as a brand new player to the scene.
Yeah.
So Street Fighter 2 afforded me the opportunity to have like a different scene. And I got a lot better, a lot faster. You saw, maybe you did a hit, it did a lot more damage, especially with like Roundhouse Honda. Yeah. Or, as soon as I learned Super, I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. As soon as I was taught throws, that was so simple to learn. So it was a lot shorter hill when it came to learning that game. So of course, I was like, oh, let me play more Street Fighter 2 then. And I still had a lot of 0-2s in that tournament too, because I'm playing some of the best at the time. I'm playing DGV, I'm playing Shotos all day, I'm playing Watson, I'm playing Alex Valles, I'm playing so many amazing players from not only SoCal, but like whoever visited that week for Super Arcade. So I played the best out of the best at that time. It was a magical few years. Oh,
amazing.
Oh, what a time. What a time.
Amazing. I mean, I totally envy that. I mean, in New York, we did have some pretty amazing players too. Like, when I first went to the scene, what I saw, I originally started on GGPO, and then I got an invite from Josh C to say, hey, come to the next level, and then to see everybody. And I saw, during that time, I saw Josh C, saw Technical Monkey, saw Damdai, Riz1, Zoolander. It was kind of amazing feel. Like, and it is funny because during that time, I was like, oh, well, I was still like finding myself during that time in a way, because just like you, originally, before I kind of like went heavily to GTPO, I was playing Super Street Fighter 4 at the time. And during that time, I made Goken at the time being, and I'm like, oh, well, kind of like this dude. I was like, kind of playing with him, and I was like, oh yeah, this guy got a fireball that just goes diagonally up. I'm like, okay, this guy's cheap as hell. So I'm like, okay, cool. Let me just choose this dude. And I didn't remember. It's funny because one day I had like I was at a local. It was called 8-Bit and Up in Manhattan. And I remember one day I was playing like dog shit. Like, oh my God, I was just playing awful. And I remember this one dude who was running the session that time. He was like, yo, man. He's like, yeah, you kind of playing terrible right now. Pretty straight up like what Eugene would say. He was like, yeah, you playing real terrible right now. He's like, yo, he point me to the ST cab. He was like, all right, I'm gonna need you to just come here and just learn fundamentals and everything. And little that I know, it's because of that one interaction, I just stuck with the game afterwards. And I'm like, yeah, I really dig this game. And at first I played Ken. And then years later, not years later, maybe like a year or two afterwards, I just went to Geef. And you would think, I was like, at the time, I'm like, man, you would think that I know it all. And I kept getting 0-2, 1-2, and I'm like, yeah, it's okay, still learning. But since then, yeah, I would say I've grown a lot since then. So here I am. Folks say I'm the best. I don't feel that way, but I still think I have more to go. I still think I have more to learn, but I feel your story with that, because it feels exactly the same how I got into it. So kudos to you with that part. So
kudos to you, Anthony. Like, I remember talking about this. Like, we had very similar origin stories for main characters.
It really is. It's kind of crazy because at the time I was like, man, I just didn't know what to do at times. And I was like, huh, I didn't know. I'm like, okay, I've been to arcades, but it's like, oh, I didn't know that there's people who take it seriously. So I'm like, oh, that opened a brand new world for me.
You did forget one player off your list of who you met at Level Up.
Who did I miss?
Hi!
Oh, yeah. What? That was a tournament, though. That was Too Old when I first met you and Eugene. Yeah, that was my first Too Old.
First time I'm so glad you talked about this. Actually, the first time I went to New York alone because my one of my best friends from high school growing up was in New York to study. She's a pharmacist. She's studying pharmacy pharmacy school. And so I went to New York alone to visit her, and Eugene had told me to go to Level Up, and I met you, and because you were playing Gouken on Street Fighter 4, you reminded me of my homie Vashon. Shout out Vashon.
Oh my God, yes. I remember now. Yeah, we did had games on Street Fighter 4. Oh my God, what a time that was. I think we played a good 20, 30 games because during that time it was still the tournament that was going on, but there was just that one Street Fighter 4 setup, and I was already eliminated anyway, so it was like whatever. So, but yeah, oh man, what a time that was.
And I want to say you were like, you know how after a match, like everyone's angry?
Yeah.
And I want to say, I don't know why this sticks out in my memory, but like we ended up like talking about dumplings because I think you got dumplings down the way.
Yeah.
And you were like, yeah, they're really good. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank you. I'm also going to order some.
Yeah.
And so I just remember connecting with you on that.
That's
because
right, yeah.
I don't think it was maybe it's Too Old, Too Furious. I think you're right, but like I definitely remember stepping in the arcade by myself.
Yeah, that's right. Because I remember when we were talking, you said you were staying at that hotel that was like not that far from there. And you were telling me about, what's the good places to have food, and that's when the dumpling talk happened. And then we had some. Oh man, what a time that was. That was so cool. Oh man, we connected since then. It was just amazing. And then I remember the year later, I finally met Eugene, and I'm like, Eugene was. I thought about it. I'm like, okay, from everything that he was talking online, and then we talked offline, I'm like, yeah, he's everything that I thought he would be. That's why I said, not in a bad way, but just more in a way like, okay, yeah, he got that, like, okay, he got that swag with him, like, okay, I'm gonna look at you, I'm better than you, but we still cool, but I'm better than you. That's how he was. But like I said, still shout outs to Eugene though, but I love that dude.
He's a lovable asshole. I don't know how else to describe him, but he's my lovable asshole. Do you know what I mean? Like
that's exactly it. Yes.
Yes. Once you're in like his inner circle, like he'll be nice to you just meeting off. Like he's actually really super nice in person and whatnot. But when you become his inner circle, then he shows you his asshole side. And it's the best because he's just so real with you and he's amazing. So like real talk, FGC, you get his real side, and I appreciate that.
It is true. It's very true. It's very true. I learned that time and time again from playing him, and yeah, it's it's quite the experience, though. It really was. So, okay, you transitioned to ST. You went to some tournament. You went to tournaments, right? So. Tell me, which was your first tournament? Was it that Too Old was your first tournament? Like, no, actually, like your first tournament for ST. That's what I should say.
First tournament for ST. So, like, if you don't count Super Arcade, do we count like local? So,
I would say like like a local tournament. That's what I should say.
Okay, yeah, locals. I would say it was 100% Super Arcade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So your first one, how did you kind of, went about it in a way?
Okay. It's a good question. I don't remember it. I just remember like things from Super Arcade. I'm trying to think. Can I give you another story? Can I give you the first tournament in Street Fighter 2 that I do remember?
Yeah, of course. Go ahead.
So, guys, I started in 2011. It is now 2024 as of recording this. It's been a hot minute. So my memory is not as good as it used to be. So I remember, like, the previous year at EVO, Eugene was, El Treble was helping out Tournament of Legends 1, and I was just a spectator at the time. And you can even hear in the back of the TOL recording on YouTube, some woo girl wooing for Kusamundo. It's me. I'm the woo girl.
Wow.
So that was was I playing Street Fighter 2 then? I want to say I was dabbling, maybe. I want to say dabbling, but I think I was mostly spectator at that point. I was mostly a normie. And but then the year after, I want to say I played at EVO, and it was my first tournament, just as a player, or is it the first one I remember going to EVO for? And oh man, that one was such a treat because all these out-of-towners had shown up. So this is why El Treble is El Presidente, because he remembers names, he remembers everyone's faces, and I'm probably the worst person for that. Like, unless you're part of my inner circle, I'm not always going to remember, and I so apologize for that. Like, I'll remember your face, but I won't necessarily remember your gamer tag or name, and I need to be better about that. Anywho, tangents with Tania. Back to EVO. So the first EVO tournament I ever remember playing in Street Fighter 2, I was on a team tournament with El Treble and Muffin Man, and I believe it was it me? Me, see? Memories, man. It's been a long time.
Is it? I heard of a name like Mizuki. I could be wrong about that. No.
Maybe. I know we had, like I said, Mars Gotti.
Oh yeah, good old
the American Guile player from the East Coast.
Yeah, from Philly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we also had it out of Tanner from France. I want to say.
Was it?
The Dolphin player.
Oh, it's Walmart.
Walmart. Thank you. And fantastic. And so I had met my first, I want to say that was the first time meeting international players at EVO, but I just remember, and Mars Guy's gonna hate me for this, but it's what I remember because it sticks with me. It was a ratio tournament, and I OCV'd him with Blanca.
Wow.
I was so proud of that moment. Yes.
Wow. OCV'd him with Blanca. Oh my goodness.
But keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, it was a ratio tournament. So that means certain characters had certain points. So you had to be really strategic with that kind of tournament setup. And I had played that match, Blanca versus Guile against El Treble, at that point a million times. And I had also played Watson's Guile. I had played so many Guiles at Super Arcade, so when I came up to Mars Gotti at EVO, I was so freaking ready. I had been in the hyperbolic time chamber. I had done my work. I had, done my push-ups, everything for Guile. I remember me and El Treble had been doing first to twos at home, and if you won, if you lost, you did dishes. So I had done so many losses against Guile. That's how we got so good so fast.
Wow. What an incentive.
This is motherfucker. See, if you have carrot and stick, negative incentives and positive incentives, but yeah. I just remember that EVO tournament, OCVing Mars Gotti on a ratio tournament, and that was such a highlight because I had never felt people scream for me like that since my baseball or soccer days, for badminton, and I missed that.
Right.
So that sports aspect of a community and everyone cheering you on of
That is awesome. Wow. OCG to Mars. I mean, that's big. That's big. Wow.
I tease him about it. Just let me be clear. If it's a 2 out of 3, he probably still kicks my butt. I will tease him till we're in the ground. Like, that was such a great moment.
Oh man, I gotta kind of bring that up to him the next time I see him. That's kind of crazy. I mean, the funny thing is, every time when I do see him, he definitely does talk very, very highly of you. So he's like, he would always say that, whenever we talk, is like when we talk about Honda matches, he's like, nah, man. He's like, I think KillerMiller is that. She's the GOAT. Now he's always to say she's the GOAT, man. And I'll be like, I'm very inclined to agree. I'm like, I have yet to see, at the time, I have yet to see somebody really exceed, besides Karopi, but I was like, I have yet to see someone really exceed themselves with Honda during the time, or any other characters. And your knowledge is like, bar none, really, really spectacular. So, very kudos. I'm like, I got ammunition against Mars to tease him, so I'm good.
Oh, Mars is the homie. Oh, every time I see him, he's just good vibes, and he brings that to you every time you talk to him. He's honestly an amazing person. Yeah. And I met him on that New York trip too, I want to say, like in person. So, yeah, it was good times.
Very good times. Very good times. So, continuing on with tournaments, right? So that was your first tournament. Now, let's talk about the one tournament that I'd say you had a really big impact on. Like, which one really stood out to
you? So you kind of mentioned, like, I was the only Honda at the time doing work. And maybe for my online prep, I would agree with you. But, like, depending on the year, like, I actually disagree because there were some amazing Hondas, like, at that time. Like, that Evo tournament I told you about.
Yeah.
And again, I still apologize for not remembering his gamer tag. I should probably know through the FGC throughout the years. That'd be awesome. There was this Honda, I remember that was like Mars Gotti's friend actually, and he was from like the East Coast at the time, and like he was doing work at that tournament. I had met a Honda from Britain who had come to Super Arcade at one time, and we played each other, and he kicked my butt. There's been plenty of matches like offline that maybe weren't streamed through different periods of my career that there was a better Honda and they beat me. It just, maybe my online presence or maybe my like tournament standing showed a different story. But I appreciate the compliment, thank you. But like, let's pull back the curtain a little bit more. There's a lot more. Just because Challenge did not record it didn't mean it didn't happen, right? So there's a lot of other tournaments happening, at your locals or whatnot, that I definitely played some amazing Hondas throughout the years that were at my level or higher for sure. So to answer though, see, tangents with Tania, to answer the question about what was my most impactful tournament. I mean, don't get me wrong, that Kusamundo match in me is definitely top 3. It's definitely top 3.
Oh yeah.
But for me, it's not number 1 because it's the mirror match. So before I digress on that, talk more about that. The most impactful match actually to me is when we went to Japan for the first time. And we got to play round robins with everyone. And if I continue with that, Dragon Ball Z analogy, oh my gosh, we went to the, we got Super Saiyan level 2,
Right.
again, and played the best of the best. And so I want to say the most impactful moment was when I had a tournament against against Kusamundo. in Japan, and that wow, that made a huge difference learning that match. And I didn't win it by no means necessary, but I learned so much from it. Yeah, I would have to say either that one or like pretty much any Japan like match I played, because they were all impactful, and I remembered so many of them because they were all such great training moments and some great friend moments too.
That is awesome. I mean, I definitely envy you guys going to Japan. I have yet to go, but and you're right about one thing in terms of Japan. They are literally the best of the best out there, and you would go out there, and I would say you go as you would think here, like you'll be like, let's say, respectively the top player in pretty much for ST, but when you go there, it's a completely different ball game. Like, I would say, like, you're starting pretty much fresh when you go out there. So alongside with this tournament, let's talk about Japan a little bit. Now, tell me, what was that like going those couple of times? Like, what was it like? Like, tell me, because since I haven't been there as of yet, like, I know the arcades, but tell me, what was it like going to them? Like, what was the vibe like?
Oh man, I remember. Well, so the first. Let's see if I remember my dates correctly. So 2015 was our first Japan trip. I want to say we went to X-Mania. See, again, this is why I'm not president. Why El Treble's not president. I remember it was X-Mania. And then in 2017 we went to again, and I want to say it was for Kakarugo. But both were great. And so the first thing I thought when I went to these tournaments, when I went to the arcade, is, man, there's a lot of smoking. So it's 2015. Yeah, they hadn't really gotten rid of their smoke, the smoky gloves and whatnot. So everyone was puffing away.
Oh man.
I remember my clothes reeking of cigarette smoke from this. And it was funny because, like, we had gotten an Airbnb for the first time with, like, international players. So we got an Airbnb with Gamdai and his wife. We also had Francois and Ernesto also, like, room with us. And then we also had one more American room with us, as well as my husband, El Treble. So, that was just such a treat, because you have a house of ST players. And then we went out to these tournaments, and then we went out and had drinks or dinner, or, checked it out. But I remember that first trip, just like almost every day, if we weren't playing in a tournament, we went to, I want to say, Hay Arcade, the one where it was like at the second or third floor, for the cabinets, and there would just be pullers walking in. So, like, keep in mind, so we're on vacation, so we'd be there at like 1 p.m., whenever we woke up the next day, 10 a.m., maybe all the way to like 9 p.m., 10 p.m., whenever they closed. And just throughout the day, killers would randomly walk in. And, with our limited Japanese, we'd be like, who is that? And they'd be just some random, we don't even know. And they'd kick all of our asses and then leave, because it was their lunch hour or their dinner hour. Or they came to they came to the arcade right after work, which I was like, oh, this is another world. Oh, I'm here for a walking city. Let's go.
That is so unheard of. My God.
Oh, and my favorite scene. You know how you stick normies into local tournaments? You have good food nearby, and you have good people to talk to as normies. Yeah. So, like, yeah, I was a good player at the time, but I, hadn't really ascended to that level. But, like, I remember in the arcade, they had a green tea ice cream machine. So I remember getting so upset because I'd lose these matches, because of course everyone's better. So I would just, like, eat my feelings away. And it was the best way, because that green tea ice cream, bar none, is still the best green tea ice cream I've ever had.
Green tea ice cream. Wow.
The salt made it so delicious.
Oh, that's good to know. Green tea, iced tea. I mean, ice cream. Sorry. Well, wow. So now I want some of that. Wow.
Oh, I hope you can make it, Anthony, to Japan. It's one of those places in this world where it's like nothing else. So I really hope you can make it one day. That would be fabulous, and I'd love to go with you.
I mean, we gotta talk about that. Like, I definitely had. I mean, I had an opportunity to go, but COVID happened. But I am definitely working on going there because, first of all, I'm way overdue. Second, I think, just like you, a lot of other people want me to definitely go as well, and I want to go not only for obviously to play the competition out there, but more likely I just wanted to see pretty much the culture and just visit some places as well, because that was Japan was like one of the main reasons for me that I sort of thought about, like, when I first had the chance to go, and I was going with Riz. I remember him asking me. He was like, "Well, besides the arcade, what do you want to do?" I'm like, "Man, I'm not gonna lie, bro. I just want to just like walk, just like look around places, eat bomb-ass food at the same time, then walk around places, then eat some more food, going to like these barbecue spots and everything, visit a temple, might probably do a kung fu stance with a pitcher and everything like that, then eat some more food, go right back and play some more ST." I mean, one of the biggest things was meeting TMF. That was like one of my biggest goals also of going there, because I'm friends with them, and there are times that every time I saw, like when Justin went over there and played him, he shouted me out, which is kind of awesome. And I was like, yeah, I really got to meet this guy. He is like the teacher towards me in terms of everything. That's where I learned from, besides him and Gunze, but he is like the one Zangief that really impacted me the most, honestly. And can't wait to see him. Really can't wait to see him.
TMF is such a good peeps. Oh my gosh. I want to say, on our first trip, he like really was like the host for us that entire trip. We, El Trouble and him really connected. That's the homie right there, TMF. Really good peeps, and so you have the best. You have the best teacher. You have the best sensei there.
I agree.
Awesome. I miss him.
I know. All right, so tell me now. Aside from the tournaments, right? So you said your most impactful one. What was your favorite one?
Favorite tournament of all time. Okay. This is gonna sound weird, and it's not for the reason you think it is either.
Okay. Okay, lay it on me. I'm open. I'm open to hear.
Okay, so remember, I'm terrible with names, so you're gonna have to help me here.
Okay.
The one I beat Cosamundo at in Canada. That was Canada Cup 3? 2?
Yeah, that's TOL3.
TOL3. Yes. Okay. Good. Perfect. TOL3. And it was my favorite tournament of all time, but it's not because I beat Cosamundo. That was just like the cherry on top. The reason I am so proud, and the one I love the most about TOL3 is, if you look at the TOL posters, TOL1, TOL2, and TOL3. TOL1, no one owns a poster that has all the signatures. Same thing with TOL2. No one, to my knowledge, owns a poster with all the signatures for all the players. On TOL3, there are multiple copies. Almost all of the posters, if my memory serves me correctly, they all should have them. Every single signature is put in. And do you know why? 'Cause of me!
That is true. That is very true. That is true. You definitely had the people to come by and sign the posters. So what turned from signing your poster turned into signing everybody else's poster, which was pretty awesome though. And that poster was fire. It really was.
Yeah.
It was a fire poster. And it's funny because I think that for me that was my favorite tournament too. Not because of, just like you said, not because of the tournament, because it was more along the line of, one was definitely meeting people. Like I got to meet, well, I seen you again, I seen Eugene again, I seen Damdai, Jimmy Bones, Atari, let's see who else. There was Unessential. There was like so many players that time.
Anthony, I fucked up. I'm sorry. I hope I can curse.
This is non-PG. You're good.
I fucked up, Anthony.
How so?
Oh, I fucked up. That shouldn't have been my most favorite tournament.
Oh yeah, you did say it was like top 3. So that is actually.
Yeah, I remembered one that finally came up, and I was like, "Oh, I fucked up."
Okay, so you get a do over. Even though TOL 3 was fire though. Not gonna lie, but
TOL 3 was fire.
It was
I really fucked up because I don't really remember it as a tournament. My answer should have been, "Ooh, my husband's gonna be mad at me." Is when I proposed to him.
Oh, Combo Breaker 2018. Yes. Oh my God, that was amazing. That was amazing. That was amazing.
I think what's true with all of these tournaments is it's not necessarily the matches, and of course you'll remember those great matches, but it's all the other moments surrounding the tournament, connecting with friends, having these great little like stories you tell, till the end of time of like so it's those in between moments, and so I do have to change my answer.
No,
Combo Breaker.
It's fine. It's totally fine. I mean, hey, that TLL3 is in 3rd place, but now Combo Breaker 2018, that double proposal was something else. It really was. It really was something else. I remember, it was funny because during that tournament, when you came up to me, and this was like after your pool. And then I was going to begin, and you came up to me and you told me, "Anthony, I'm about to do something real crazy." And I'm like, "What's going on?" And he was like, he's like, "Well, first things first, I'm going to go change." That was one thing. Because that was the time after your pool. And by the way, during that pool, we were in the same pool. And I remember when we played, The amount of shit talking was incredible, by the way. It was so funny. But I loved you at the same time. And I'm not gonna lie, Tania, I was refraining of saying something back. And I was like, yo. And I'm like, okay, I'm like in my mind, I'm like to myself, yo, is this woman really trying to psych me out right now? I'm like, nah, this can't be right. This can't be right. And I'm like to myself, man, when we played, okay, Gee versus Honda, okay, I got blown out. It's all good. Then I switched to old Ken, and then you gave me this look. And I was like, you gave me this look, I'm paying attention to this screen. I'm like hardcore to this screen here. And then you were like, oh, you're not gonna play your shit? And I'm like, oh my goodness, what is happening here? I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah, I have a tendency to shit talk but I shouldn't do that. It's probably bad,
No lie, I'm not gonna lie. That honestly, even though I lost that matchup, even though I lost that set against you, that was actually one of my favorite sets. It really was. It was one of my favorite sets because I'm like, I got to see. I was like, yo, I got to play the real you. That's what it was. And I'm like, man. I'm like, okay. Let me not make this mistake again. That's all I just said to myself. Let me not make this mistake again. And you kept saying, yeah, pick your shit. And I'm like, I went to the old Shoto, and then she's like, no, this is not it. Then you blow me out of the water. But my, oh my, what a time that was. But yeah, back to the point. You told me afterwards, you was like, yeah, I'm going to do something crazy. And this was like top 24. And you was like telling me, I'm gonna propose to Eugene. And I gasped. And I'm like, oh. I'm like, word? And then she's like, yeah. He's like, don't tell anybody. And by the way, folks, I was the first to know because she literally came with me and told me. And that stood out to me because that's how much trust you put into me. And I was like,
you were the first to know at Combo Breaker.
Yeah.
That's true, but not before. I had definitely talked to Rick, and I had definitely talked to other people to get it in motion.
That's fine. I'm still the first. I'm good.
You were the first at Combo Breaker physically. I told for sure. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh man, something amazing is gonna happen. That's all I just said. But when after all that is said and done, I remember you grabbed the mic and you had a speech. You said you were professing, obviously you were professing your love. You were professing your love to Eugene and everything. And the next thing you know, you saw the one knee, and I was with my boy that time, and he was telling me, he was like, yo, Hicks, what's going on, man? He's like, yo, man, you're about to see something real incredible. That's all I said. And when you got on one knee, and by the way, folks, there's a iconic Eugene emote that's out there of him sticking his tongue out.
It's from that photo of me proposing to him. I forgot about that. Wow.
Yeah.
Trip down memory lane. Oh. Yeah. No. I asked him. So. He won the tournament, El Trouble, he got first. And my perfect plan, I remember, messaging Rick this, in a perfect world, we'd be in grand finals together. And I just remember Rick going, that's cool, I appreciate you letting me know, but no matter what happens, you have to do it after the tournament. And I was like, oh, totally understand. You're like, that would be the highest form of collusion. Yeah. You have to play a couch match with the possible... with boyfriend and girlfriend, I totally understand. Yeah, I'll do it after. So you're right, I had changed. I had shout outs to Kendra and Carolyn who did my makeup and did my hair and everything, and Amber as well. Oh my gosh, so many people. And then I went down on one knee and proposed, and because he won and I got top 8. I didn't get second, so I still waited until after the tournament. But I went down on one knee, and then he came back and reversed me with the ring himself.
I was, that threw me off. I was like, man, okay. I was like, okay, great minds think alike. That was kind of crazy. So you guys proposed to each other. That was such the most beautiful moment that I've ever seen. It couldn't have happened to really two of my most favorite people in the fighting game community. You guys are family to me, honestly. So I was really happy, really, really happy to see that.
Aww. Yeah.
I was really happy to see that. That was amazing.
Yeah. No, that was a great moment. I have that framed in my house. My boss, my actually ex-boss as of today, or as of a couple days ago, still talks about that. She's like, that's my favorite moment from you. And I was like, oh, wow. It carries, sometimes moments are bigger than you realize at the time, because, you're not really, you're maybe focused on something, and I was really proud of that moment. That was really, really cool. Yeah. And it was first combo breaker of all time. There's so many firsts. I think I was 30 or 30. No, I think I was older, 30 or 31. I think in 20. I can do math. It was one of my birthdays that weekend. Let me put it that way. And it was just a lot of firsts that weekend. It was so much. And then I proposed, to the man I eventually married. So. Yeah, it was a great time.
That's amazing. That is so amazing. Wow. What a time that was. And I'm really happy you shared that. Shared your introduction to the story, to your first tournaments, to your favorite tournaments, even though I think we had to do a do-over on your favorite tournament, but it was all good though. I totally respect it because, honestly, I was I was actually gonna really bring that up anyway in terms of 2018, but you beat me to it. So I'm really happy for you. So I'm really happy for both of y'all. Honestly, you guys.
Thank you, brother.
Anytime.
Oh
So,
yeah.
Let's go. Let's move on, right? So we did the first two. So let's talk about the industry, the FGC, right? I want to know your opinion of something. What are your thoughts on today's modern FGC at the moment?
So to be perfectly honest, I'm not really watching a lot. I'll catch like I caught Evo a couple weekends ago. Wow. We streamed it. I'm going back and forth between El Trouble's office and the fridge and watching this, and then we're like yelling at each other. Oh my god! For the most part, we've been. At least I'll speak for myself. I have not been in the scene all that much. Yes, I've been to a couple garages. I've been to Dots Arcade. I've been to Oryx. I've been to a couple of like locals, but I haven't really been to a big tournament in a while. So I did do a big tournament in Minnesota, thanks to Mr. Tuttles over there. But I want to say that was 21 or 22, so I haven't done a really big tournament since then. But I would like to. And it's just, so I digress. To answer your original question of like what I think about the FGC is, I don't think I'm in it to have a comment. Like, I think you are all doing such great work right now. What I do catch, the few snippets I catch, because I'm still going back to school and working. So I don't have a lot of time. But what I do catch, y'all are doing great. So I'm only catching the good highlights. Like, can't comment much more on that at this point.
Yeah, I appreciate that though. Catching the positives and everything. I would say, like, in terms of the FGC, I think it's kind of going into this interesting phase. Now that, Street Fighter 6 is out, it's kind of going towards the esport route. And, I mean, this weekend, what's going on right now, I think it's another high-profile tournament that's going on in Saudi Arabia. So it's like, I would say, like, modern, for like, the FGC for like the modern games has really kind of taken off ever since Capcom Cup of last year. So, I mean, now we got a new American Evo champion in Mr. Punk, which kind of broke the curse now. Then, now, besides the modern, we can talk about the retro, because retro, I find it's in an interesting place. Only because, I mean, there's still like you still have your retro scenes, your retro tournaments, but now we're kind of like exploring new hardware and all that kind of stuff. But, ride or die, just play on a cab, especially on your Versus or your Astros. But now we kind of have like, there's Super Gun too, forgot about that. But now we got like, Misters, and you got the Misters, we got the ability to use your own stick on a cab because of USB inputs. And I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure you've seen that at did you not went to 37 Reloaded?
You mean this year?
Not this, was it this? No, it was last year, I believe. When Eugene went to compete at 37 Reloaded.
Was that last year? I feel like that was like 3 or 4 years ago.
Was it then? Let me think. I believe it was I want to say it was last year. I do want to say it was last year. Could be wrong.
This is a terrible thing when you're going off pure memory. You're just, no, you're totally right. Oh, you're totally right. Oh, you're totally right. Okay. So, it was, I cheated. I looked on the internet. And it was July 22nd through the 24th 2023. Wow, good memory.
Yeah.
To tell. I remember I was doing my weather final for school while playing that tournament.
Wow. Schooling and playing. Wow. I thought you were a multitasker, but
Like that was rough. That was and I remember Eugene was working while also playing in that tournament.
Wow. Y'all are incredible. That's crazy.
Yeah, so I was like, but good memory on you. So yes, that we had done I think you're right. That was our most recent big tournament. Was 37 Reloaded, but as you can tell, it has gone away from my memory because we were doing other things too.
I know.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that was a great tournament held by Watson. That was really cool. It was in Riverside. So I really love that venue. And then we got to see like Rizwan, and we got to see like a bunch of some of the old heads coming back out and some new heads too. And there were some great stories from that. Oh, what a fun time. And it was just nice, just chilling and playing. I don't even remember who won or whatnot, but like we talked about before, it was all the stuff in between. It was all the stories and memories we had from that.
Yeah, like you were able to talk with Tomo. That was pretty awesome. That was
awesome.
Right.
Commentating. Yeah.
That was pretty awesome. Where you and him was exchanging. It was pretty nice, especially when you were doing commentary as well. It was like pretty awesome to hear. Like I was like, man, when was the last time you did some commentary on the for ST? It's been ages. So it was crazy.
Yeah, no, you see, like, I'm glad you remembered that, but, like, I'm spoiled in Southern California. I have actually commentated with Tomo before.
Oh, well, I legit I did not know.
But you're right, I had a great moment at that time talking to him. Now that your story, like, yeah, I have so many great moments. I'm very spoiled here in SoCal. I have a lot of great ones. Because, quick tangents with Tania. I remember my first commentating thing because we were at a tournament. I don't remember where even. Like, who knows where we were. And, we were celebrating a guy closing his arcade. Do I remember his name? No. But, I remember.
Might have been Young?
No, because that's NorCal, and that's very far.
Okay. So.
Yeah. It was someone else. I want to say it was one of Watson and Tomo's friend. And so I hopped on commentary because Valle was like, hey, we need someone to commentate this Vampire Savior match. And I was like, I don't know anything about Vampire Savior, except, I know that nothing. He's like, don't worry, just talk. We just need someone to fill the space. Like, you can do it. Just talk. He's like, you play Street Fighter. Talk about the things you do know, like health bars. Talk, just pivot from what you know. And I remember being so scared doing that. And that was the worst commentating you've ever seen in your life. But I remember just being like, okay, let's just talk about what you do know. And oh my goodness, commentating is its own skill. TOing is its own skill. Being a player is its own skill. And so, my love of commentating started from that moment, I remember. And I ended up, that same day, the first day I learned to commentate, I commentated with Tomo later on that evening. And I was like, wow,
That's amazing. Wow. That is incredible. See, now I should be living in SoCal because y'all gotta get out there with the folks out there. Not saying there's no legends out here, but I mean Tomo and Watson. I mean I remember the last time I was, and I will never forget it, was when I first commentated, and that was at Canada Cup. I think it was 2017. And I did my first commentary with Mike Watson. And I was like, man, first I was starstruck. That was one thing. And I remember, I will never forget what he told me. and he would tell me, I think I was like, I was talking all professionally on this stream. Like I was really talking professionally, and mind you, and then I was talking about how there was one time when that was the same tournament that it was the debut of someone bringing their own stick and playing on the cab. Now it was kind of unheard of during that time. I think it was someone brought like a fight stick. I think it was Canada KOF during that time. He was the one who brought a stick, and then Atari had these cabs that had these USB inputs in there. But fast forwarding to that, when I mentioned that, Mike Watson's words were, "What the fuck is going on?" That was his first initial saying. He's like, "What's going on? Someone playing using his stick on the cab?" I'm like, man, that's bullshit. And I'm like looking at him, I'm like, well, what do you think is bullshit? He's like, hey man, listen, you don't have to be all professional on the stream. This ain't esports, it's fucking grassroots. That's what he said. Just be yourself. And I'm like, well shit, if that's what it takes, then so be it. So, and then after that, when we was going to commercial, we literally had a beer, and then he was like kind of toasted each other on there. I was like, man, I will never forget that. That was pretty awesome. But you having that interaction with Tomo a few times, that's still pretty awesome though. That's pretty legendary because, everybody always say, yo, where is this man at? And then, you had the privilege of talking with him a few times, which is, I would say that is I can't twist my words. I would say like most in people able to talk to him. So you had him like 5, 6, 7 times. People talked to him like once. So that's pretty awesome though. Pretty happy about that. So, but yeah. So overall, now you said I know you haven't really looked into the FGC, you've seen like bits of the retro FGC, and you like look at the positives and everything like that. Tell me, does that kind of, when you kind of see like some recent ST play and everything, does that kind of urge you to get back on the stick still?
Of course. Watching Evo a couple weeks ago, I was like, Gene, we need to go travel again. We need to go to another ST event again. Like, what are we doing? Like, why are we going to music festivals? Let's go back to ST. The bug is there for me, for sure. And it's just, sadly when we're both, working full time, I'm still balancing going back to school. And then, so it's hard to fit it in where you can. But it's definitely on the radar. Watching Evo, everyone play at Evo kind of bit my ass again, to go play. But I think what I definitely want to do though is just be a player. I'm definitely leaning not to TO, and if possible, of course I'll step in if there's needing help. But I really enjoyed that experience. But I would like to just be like a solo player. that really intrigues me again, just to be a player.
I totally understand. Like, being a player and a TO at the same time is ridiculously hard because your mindset is like really split. You gotta focus on the tournament, make sure it's ran good. Then at the same time, not only it's ran good, but you have to play your upcoming match, and you can't really say, you can't really focus. You lose focus, it kind of spirals you down into end up losing. So I can understand why you definitely want to be a player, solely a player afterwards. So it makes total sense. Okay, so now let's kind of go towards the last part, right? Now, we just kind of mentioned in terms of you definitely want to get back on the sticks eventually. So, what are your upcoming goals?
Ooh. It's a good question. Well, I've shared to you privately, Anthony, what I'm doing, and I've shared I've shared on Instagram what I'm doing, but I'm not sure if I'm ready to tell everyone yet and have that like have that like
Oh no.
have that goal even more public. But let's just say like hopefully if I reach that goal, it will lead to more Street Fighter tournaments. And that's also in line with schooling. Man, maybe I should just say it. Okay, so like I'm getting my private pilot's license currently. My original goal was to go all the way to the airlines, but I have to also work and balance that at the same time. So, and with how the industry works, it's cyclical every like 2 years. So, and I'm not even at commercial level. I'm not, at ATP level. So I'm, now looking at it, I'm, going, okay, is this now reasonable? Because I've been in this program. So, you just caught me at a moment, and I just started a brand new full-time job too. So you caught me at like a change in between moment. So my goal is still, to go to tournaments, and hopefully I can fly there myself, but we'll see. I'm not sure, I'm not sure how far out that will be. So I guess I would just say my goal is to go to more Street Fighter tournaments and finish my private pilot's license. at least.
I know. I kept saying I can't wait to aboard Doskoi Air. So that I can't wait, and I'm real proud of you. You're probably in my close circle. You're probably the only person that's gonna be a pilot. That's pretty sick, though. Like aside from everybody else, like having these professions. And folks, if you understand ST players, we have. I would say majority of the community has like a lot of interesting professions. Like we got doctors, we got technicians, we got soon-to-be pilot, then we got like it's crazy. Like I guess that's why people call us like the game that has a lot of 401ks, which is pretty awesome though. But I am proud of you. That you are going for your pilot license. And I know for a fact you're gonna really ace it anyway. So I got no doubt in my mind. I really.
You're the best. You're the best supporter. But like, let me paint the picture for you a little bit more. So like, private pilots to like equate it to video games is level 1, and to get to the airlines is level 5. So I've taken a little bit more time than I expected to on level 1. And so it really depends on kind of like my next steps, to reach level 5, because, I want to get paid to fly. Don't fly with your own money, fly with someone else's money. So we'll see if I get to level 5. So level 1 for private pilot is definitely on the horizon. Gosh darn, I'm going to get it. But whether or not, I'm going to be, that decorated, amazing pilot, we'll see. Life has a funny way of twists and turns, and your journey is always a little different. But yeah. Thank you, though, always for the words of encouragement, Anthony.
That's what I bring. I'm Mr. Encouragement. So, alongside of the tournaments, do you have any specific ones you really want to go to?
I definitely want to hit Combo Breaker again, just because I said I'd be back, and I haven't been since 2018. Oh goodness. But I love how grassroots it is. You were mentioning that earlier with Watson. I would love to do a tournament in Japan against Singapore. I just saw Evo announce. Honestly, I'll do a tournament anywhere. I'll go to anywhere in the States, Brazil, anywhere. I really like. I'll play a tournament. We're world warriors. We'll travel anywhere for it. Ever since that trip to New York, I think that was my first ever time I got on a plane to play Street Fighter. Before then I had driven to Evo. Mm-hmm. So that was my first world warrior moment, just on that, screen where with the airplane going to each country. I'm hooked. So I'll play wherever.
That's awesome. Well, I definitely look forward to you coming back on the sticks again. It's been pretty much too long. I think the last time, it's funny, the last time we played was actually during COVID, which was kind of crazy. That was just online. And you know what's funny? And I was gonna tell you this, right? The funny thing is, the very last time we talked on Discord was actually the day that we played. So it was literally June 23rd, 2020, which was, holy crap, almost 40 years ago. So it was like, that was the very last time we played, and we were just like, it was, who was on the call? It was like, we had that group call. We had myself, we had you, we had Eugene, and we had Siloscope as well, which was, I think we were talking about something. I don't know what it was. I kind of really forgot what we were talking about. But we were on that con for like a good 45 minutes to an hour just talking. I don't know what it was about. So
if I were to guess, I think it would be I was asking you guys help for streaming, and
yes,
yeah, because I had, during the pandemic, I learned to stream. I learned cable management, and I learned a lot during the pandemic. I learned to work out, or relearned how to work out and lose weight. I did a lot of shit. Streaming didn't work out for me, but it was such a great experience, and it was thanks to yours and Steven's expertise, Silent Scope. So, that was such a treat. And I remember COVID was perfect for you because you started as a world war, as an online warrior. Yeah. You got to go back to that, and I remember going, "Oh yeah, this is why I don't like being it's different, being in person where you can shit talk versus online, and the shit talking is different. But not even just that, just the lag, and there's levels to, and you have to know the matchup more necessarily than the player. Oh, there's so many dynamics to it, and I'm so proud of you, Anthony, because you're really good online. You're really, really good.
I didn't really want to have online as a crutch, honestly, but I will say COVID was funny because COVID was really during the time that's where the level up happened for me the most. Alongside, I think the very last time when this was before Riz moved to Cali, and that night when that was his second to last night before he moved, and I remember he was teaching me how to do standing SPD, and then afterwards when we were supposed to go, which was ironically it was in April of 2020. And then, flights were canceled and everything like that. And I said to myself, man, during that time, I said to myself, you know what I was going to do? Aside from, where all the jobs had to kind of create some stuff in terms of working from home, hybrid schedules and all that stuff, I said, all right, I could take the time to at least improve myself. Overall as a character specialist, and then overall as a person. And I'm yeah, I was nice before, but I felt there were times I could be better for myself, So COVID, even though it was a really, really crappy time, but it really kind of propelled us into different venues, and we got to learn a lot of things during time. So yeah, it was the good and the bad. It was really the good and the bad out of that. So I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah, no, you became. I'm because I've watched some of your stuff now. You've become such a your improvement has been so great, Anthony. So you went the route of going, more online training, and then opening up your backyard to the FGC, which I appreciate, and running your own tournaments. I saw you grow as a TO. I saw your online presence grow. I saw everything grow for you, and I was so proud of you. Whereas like I did the opposite, and I kind of retreated. Okay, I'm gonna focus on school now, and I'm gonna get a better job so I can do that. And so that's why I went into pilot training after that. When I was like, oh, streaming's too hard. Let me go back to school.
Oh man.
Different journeys, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It keeps bringing us back to the FGC in different ways. This community will never leave me because it's been so impactful for us during different points of our lives. So thank you, Anthony.
Well, hey, you're welcome, but I should thank you also. I mean, like I said, if I wouldn't have met you, I felt like I would not have had a really, really good opening of the West Coast scene, honestly. So, I mean, we definitely benefited from each other. So I greatly am happy that you and I are like best friends, and we talk almost every day. So I'm really happy about that.
Real talk, Anthony. I don't know if I've ever told you this, but like, you're one. Like, you got me through such dark times in 2020, 2021, and 2022. Like, the fact you would just like randomly text me like, how you doing, sis? Like, just the check-in. Like, really, Anthony, thank you. I don't know if I've ever told you this, but like, you made a huge difference in my life at that time. So I appreciate all of our conversations, all of our check-ins throughout the years. You're the best, bro. Thank you.
I appreciate it. I somehow got that I call it a vibe detector in me. And honestly, it's funny because I get that. It's funny. I get that a lot. This is the first time I'm hearing it from you, though. But I would say like the other time that I got it from was when I did the barbecue, my first barbecue back in the backyard, and everybody was thanking me because they sort of felt the exact same way, going through COVID, and they don't know what was going to happen. And I said, one of the biggest things is about me is, aside from helping people, like I like to just make sure folks are good. Like I know I have my own happiness, but I'm not happy if you're not happy. That's how I see it. So that's why I go out of my way to just make sure. So I'm happy that I got you through those dark times. I mean, I'm very honored that you said that. So thank you so much. So now that we're at the end, right? You got any shout outs that you want to say? Like, you got any final thoughts? Any shout outs you want to say?
Shout out to you, Megaman, Anthony, for the check-ins that getting me through the dark times of 2020. Shout out to the husband Del Trouble. I wouldn't have this amazing life without him. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful. And he connected me to the FGC in so many ways. And it's funny, depending on the years, we'll connect each other, Like I said, I was like, hey, we need to go back to FGC events to him. And he's like, oh, I guess we should. I was like, yeah. Like, we push each other for that. Shout outs to pretty much anyone running a tournament. Like, thank you for all of your hard work. I TO'd for a very long time in the FGC, and it is a thankless job. So if you're in any way, if you're running a bracket, if you're commentating, if you're running a whole tournament, if you're doing just Photoshop to advertise for a tournament, thank you. Because
thank you.
Yeah, having those spaces and having all of that really makes a huge difference, and it's what the FGC is really all about. So whether it's a big tournament, small, just opening up your house or backyard to someone, thank you for hosting them, because it's a way to connect with everyone through Street Fighter.
That's what matters. Yep, and that's what matters. Street Fighter for life, everyone. So once again, all right. So thank you so much, Tania, for being on this episode. Like I said, I was really, really happy that you got onto this one. This one really means a lot. Like, I started this project And I really thought of you to be on this episode because even though I know we got to hear Eugene's side of the story through Riz, shout out to Riz on his story, but it's not. But I needed to hear your side, which is, I feel like it's like the unknown of the unknown right there, which is like nobody got to know, but now folks get to know on this episode here. So I greatly appreciate that. Do you have any socials that if people want to follow you, just in case?
So, I'm not active on Twitter or X anymore, even though I still have an account. Maybe one day I'll back up. But I don't use it all that often. So you can message me there, but I probably check it. I don't even check it. Don't use that one. But I would say follow me on Instagram or Facebook at KillerMiller Time. So Killer without the E, and then Miller Time like the beer. But maybe one day I'll get back on Twitter or X. But it's just it's hard balancing everything in life. So I would just say reach out on Instagram or reach out on Facebook. Those are probably the best ways to reach me.
Excellent. Well, it will be in the description. So I greatly appreciate you being on here. I mean, like I said, it really means a lot. And, I'm glad you get to share your story. It means a lot. And I know for a fact that I feel like this answered a lot of questions towards everybody. So greatly appreciate having you on here for sure.
Oh, and again, thank you for having me. Oh, it's been a treat, bro.
It has been a treat. But, all right, folks. Thank you very much for watching this episode. Thank you, Tania, a.k.a. KillerMiller, or Miller Time. Folks forgot about that name. It's kind of ironic. I kind of drunk. I had that beer before. But back to what I was saying. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And tune in for the next episode. See you all soon. Have a good evening.